Hello and welcome to dvm360 TV. I'm Erica Chicarico, and today's top story comes from the Bronx Zoo in New York City, where a tiger has tested positive for COVID-19. Reports from zoo and federal officials say a 4-year-old female Malayan tiger named Nadia tested positive for the virus after being exposed to an asymptomatic employee at the zoo. The tiger was tested after she and 6 other large cats at the zoo began exhibiting signs of respiratory illness in late March. This story comes only a week after reports that a symptomatic cat in Belgium and an asymptomatic cat in Hong Kong tested positive for the disease. While it seems that the virus can pass from people to cats in isolated cases, health officials remain firm in stating that there is absolutely no evidence that COVID-19 can be transmitted from pet animals or livestock to people. In an interview with dvm360's Chief Veterinary Officer Dr. Adam Chrisman, Zoo veterinarian Jenifer Chatfield provides more details on this breaking news story. She also reassures pet owners that there's no need to relinquish pet cats and dogs in light of these reports. So let's take a listen.
We already know that domestic cats can become potentially infected with the SARS coronavirus 2, the virus that produces COVID-19 disease. Because we had a Belgian cat that was positive when their owner was positive, and then we had a cat in Hong Kong, additionally, that was positive. So the fact that a giant cat now is positive is not super shocking, because they're really cool, but they're like little cats, just bigger. These giant cats had some very mild, they had really mild signs, right? So they had like a dry cough. They had very little wheezing. A couple of them had some wheezing, but there was no nasolacular discharge, no anorexia, nothing like this. And so it wasn't a significant and severe disease. We rarely get to say zero evidence that your pet can give you COVID-19. Zero evidence. The only thing we have seen is some sporadic cases, and they're so sporadic. I think I only need one hand to count them all. Some sporadic cases of a couple of domestic cats and 1 or 2 domestic dogs that had positive test results, but most of them had no clinical signs and didn't, they were fine. And so we think that means that if you are COVID-19 positive, you could potentially infect your dog and cat. But we have zero evidence at this point that your pets can transmit the disease to you. The other thing is your cat is much more likely to have something like a calici, a chlamydia, a herpes. COVID-19 does not jump to the top of my list.
Right.
Because, coronaviruses, people who've heard me speak before know of my love and admiration for influenza. And people who really like corona like to talk about corona mutating and jumping species. But it really doesn't do that as effectively as something like influenza. So it's pretty species specific. And so for me, my first concern would be to rule out the logical thing, which would be, is this truly a feline coronavirus? But in the face of any pandemic, you really, and this is what I tell veterinarians all the time, especially veterinarians, when you step in that exam room, that small enclosed space, with an animal with respiratory disease, you are working in public health, friend. And so we should always be cognizant of that, because I'm sure 75% of emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic. And I don't ever want a veterinarian to be patient zero.
For much more news and information about the COVID-19 pandemic, visit dvm360.com. For dvm360 TV, I'm Erica Chicarico. Stay safe out there.